Everyone knows someone who has driven past a massive car dealership and thought the same thing. Hundreds of brand new vehicles. A showroom that looks like a luxury hotel. A service center packed from morning until evening. And one question. The owner of this place must be making millions. After all, if a dealership sells 1,000 cars a year, and each one costs $40,000 or $50,000, that's tens of millions flowing through a single business. So owning a dealership should be one of the easiest ways to become rich, right? Not exactly, because almost everything people believe about this business is wrong. The cars parked outside aren't really the business. The showroom isn't where most of the money is made. And in many cases, selling a brand new car barely makes enough profit to cover a nice dinner. Yet somehow, dealership owners continue to rank among the wealthiest business owners in America. So how is that possible? How can an industry with razor-thin margins create multimillionaires? The answer isn't hiding under the hood. It's hidden inside the economics of the dealership itself. Let's start with the number that surprises almost everyone. A typical franchise dealership can generate anywhere from $50 million to well over $100 million in annual revenue. That sounds incredible, but revenue isn't profit. Once inventory costs, employee salaries, financing expenses, insurance, utilities, taxes, advertising, and operating costs are paid, the average dealership keeps only around 2% of revenue as net profit. Think about that. For every $100 flowing through the business, only about $2 actually belong to the owner. That's an incredibly small margin for a business requiring tens of millions of dollars in assets. So if selling cars isn't highly profitable, why does anyone do it? Because selling cars was never the entire business. Simply the beginning. Before a dealership can earn its first dollar, it has to survive one of the highest barriers to entry in retail. Buying land. Constructing a manufacturer-approved facility. Installing expensive equipment. Hiring dozens, sometimes hundreds, of employees. Purchasing diagnostic tools. Building a service center. Installing software systems. Meeting franchise requirements. Then comes the biggest expense of all. Inventory. Most people imagine dealerships buying cars with cash. They don't. Nearly every vehicle on the lot is financed through what's called floor plan financing. Instead of paying up front, the dealership borrows money for each vehicle. The loan stays attached to that specific car until it's sold. Sounds convenient, but here's the catch. Every single day that car remains unsold costs money. Interest keeps accumulating. Insurance continues. Depreciation never stops. That shiny SUV sitting on the front row? If nobody buys it for another month, it could quietly erase thousands of dollars in potential profit. Which completely changes the way you think about inventory. Cars aren't assets. They're ticking financial liabilities. And that explains why dealerships are obsessed with one thing. Speed. Moving inventory quickly matters far more than squeezing every possible dollar out of each sale. A fast sale creates cash. A slow sale creates expenses. That's why you'll sometimes see dealers offering discounts that seem almost unbelievable. They're not being generous. They're trying to stop the financial bleeding. Sometimes losing a little today is cheaper than waiting another 60 days. Now here's where the entire business flips upside down. Ask someone where dealerships make their money. Most people answer, the cars. They're wrong. The biggest profit often begins after you've already agreed to buy one. You're led into a quiet office. Someone starts printing paperwork. Then comes a series of questions. Would you like extended warranty coverage? Gap insurance? Paint protection? Maintenance plans? Will protection? Financing? Feels like paperwork. But financially, that room is a gold mine. Banks frequently approve loans at one interest rate. The dealership may legally increase that rate within certain limits before presenting it to the customer. That difference becomes additional income. Then come warranties. Products that may cost the dealership hundreds of dollars can sell for several thousand. The profit margins on these products often dwarf the margin earned from selling the vehicle itself. By the time the paperwork is signed, the dealership may have earned more from financing than from the car sitting outside. And astonishingly, we're still not talking about the most profitable department. Walk behind the showroom, past the sales offices, into the service department. This is where many dealerships quietly build long-term wealth. Oil changes, brake jobs, engine diagnostics, tire replacements, factory maintenance. Customers eventually stop buying cars, but they rarely stop maintaining them. Unlike vehicle sales, service work generates consistent demand regardless of economic conditions. Whether the economy is booming or entering recession, cars still break, and they still need repairs. Service departments routinely earn profit margins several times higher than vehicle sales. Many dealership owners measure success using something called the service absorption rate. Here's why it matters. Imagine the service department earns enough profit to pay the dealership's rent, utilities, insurance, administrative staff, and operating expenses. Now every vehicle sold afterward contributes mostly to profit because the building is already paying for itself. That's why experienced dealership owners often focus less on selling one more car and far more on keeping customers returning for years. The first sale creates a customer. The service department monetizes that relationship for the next decade. But there's another layer most buyers never notice. Manufacturers. Franchise dealerships don't operate independently. They're partners, and sometimes they're controlled more than people realize.
Manufacturers decide allocation.
Popular models, facility standards, brand image, technology upgrades. Sometimes dealerships receive inventory they didn't even request. Sometimes they're expected to renovate buildings costing millions just to maintain franchise agreements. Imagine investing millions into a business, only to discover someone else still controls many of your biggest decisions. Owning a franchise offers powerful advantages, but it also comes with significant obligations. Now think about what happens when interest rates rise. Customers suddenly face higher monthly payments. Demand slows. Cars remain on the lot longer. Meanwhile, the dealership is paying higher interest on every financed vehicle sitting outside. Revenue declines. Expenses increase. At exactly the same time, there's a financial squeeze from both directions. That's why dealership profitability can change dramatically in just a few months. The business isn't simply about selling cars. It's about managing debt, inventory, customer demand, manufacturer relationships, and operating costs simultaneously. So how do successful owners protect themselves? They stop thinking like salespeople. They start thinking like investors. Many eventually own multiple dealerships, different brands, different cities, shared accounting departments, shared marketing teams, shared management. Diversification reduces risk. One slow-performing brand can be supported by another that's having a strong year. Economies of scale reduce operating costs. And suddenly, a business earning only 2% margins begins producing extraordinary wealth. Then there's something even more interesting.